Sharpe has traveled the country and has personally visited every county in New York State, listening to people's concerns. The Sharpe Way is a show where answers, solutions, and common ground can be found so that together we can forge a new way forward. The Sharpe Way is the way to mutual respect, where no one has to convert to be heard, because you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want, as long as you aren't forcing your beliefs on others. Welcome to Sharpe Way Radio.
Oh, yes, it is Larry Sharpe. Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Also, of course, WLEA and WCKR, Cornell, on the Voice of Liberty. Isn't that amazing? So happy to have you with me. The number to
Hey,
talk
folks,
to me.
Donald Trump
if
Jr.
you want
here
to,
with urgent news.
After
the world's
the break
central banks are making
is 585-346-3000. Now, there's a lot of stuff happening here in New York State, New York City, talking about migrants being concerned, Trump being elected. It reminded me of a story from when I was a kid. And if you've listened to this often, you know that I grew up in the Bronx, South Bronx. My father was in law enforcement. He was a cop and then a corrections officer in New York City. And many of his friends were also in law enforcement. And he had one buddy who had an Australian or New Zealand girlfriend. I don't remember. I was very young, probably 6 or 7. I probably couldn't tell the difference between the accents. So either New Zealand or Australia, something like that. I don't really remember. And I was too young to know. But he had this girlfriend who would come by our apartment sometimes. We lived off on Walton Avenue in South Bronx. And she had a friend also who'd come by, another Australian girl who would come by sometimes. Just talk to my parents, have fun, whatever adults were doing when I was playing as a kid. And at one point, I recognized that they had some kind of fight or something. And then she stopped coming around. So I asked my mom. I said, hey, Mom, how come, she doesn't come around anymore? Her friend doesn't come around anymore. She goes, oh, they don't come around anymore. I said, no, I know that. She had a fight with so-and-so. I forgot the guy's name, actually. This is many years ago, decades ago. She goes, well, she left. I said, she left? She said, yeah. She went back home. I said, oh, okay. Well, then what about a friend? Well, she left too. Oh, okay. They just left. Yep, they both left. So they're not here anymore. No, they left America. Wow. I didn't get it. I kind of moved on. Years later, I asked my mom. I said, remember those girls that used to come by the house? You said they left. Why'd they leave? I just brought us up. This happened like years later. She goes, oh, they're all from Australia. So they were from Australia. I didn't know then, but I know now. And she explained to me. Now, my mom was an immigrant from Germany. They were immigrants from Australia. Well, the one girl who was dating my dad's friend, who was a cop, they got into a big fight. She was here illegally. She was undocumented. Well, she was documented, but she wasn't supposed to be here anymore. She came here, I guess, on visitation or something, met him, started dating him, and just stayed and never went home. So she wasn't supposed to be here. Well, once they got into a big fight, she thought, oh, he's law enforcement. He's going to call immigration on me, and I'm going to get in trouble. So she left because she was scared. She would get in trouble. So she went back home. Now, why'd her friend leave? Because her friend was the same. And her friend was worried that he would be mad, call immigration, and get them both in trouble. So what happened? They both packed up and they left. I didn't know that until years later. I had no idea. Now, to be forward, the guy didn't do that and he didn't care. He just wasn't dating her and walked away. He actually didn't care. He didn't call anybody. He was like, relationship over, next. Plus, he wasn't a good guy. He did some bad things anyway, so he might have got himself in trouble too. So, again, I found out all that a little bit later also. Doesn't matter. Now, the point is, they packed up and left because of fear. Is that a good or a bad thing? Part of me says, yes, good idea. Part of me says, no, it seems wrong. emotionally. But I think it's going to actually work. Why do I say that? Trump being elected has affected immigration and even migrants here in New York State and New York City even. And New York City is a sanctuary city, happily, openly, aggressively a sanctuary city. Absolutely. But a couple things have already happened. Number one, you've seen that the number of people in the caravans has been cut in half. People are believing, wait a minute, I don't want to come here because now I'm going to get thrown out. Why am I going to drop X thousands of dollars paying cartels to get me into America and they're going to throw me out in 6 months? Well, then what am I spending this money for? I got to spend it again trying a second time? Right? And for some of these people, this is like they're going to debt for this, or this is their life savings. I'm going to drop this cash so I can get thrown out in 6 months? No, thank you. So a lot of them have decided to walk away and say, I'm not doing it now. I'll do something else. Second thing's happening already is people are trying to escape to Canada. I'm not joking. It's like the Vietnam War all over again. Everybody's rushing to Canada all of a sudden. But then realize Canada's not so happy about migrants anymore either. They're starting to change how they think about this. So Canada may not be, their safe haven. Might be better than America, maybe. Depends on what Trump actually does. Who knows? But it made me think about that. Just the fear of that happening. People took action. People started doing things. But then two more things happened, which are diametrically opposed, but actually are happening. Some migrants out of other areas started rushing to New York City, thinking, oh, well, now I'm in trouble, so let me go to New York City. I'll be safe there. And a lot of people in New York City going, uh-oh, Eric Adams, he might want to be Trump's friend because he's got federal charges on him. He might want to be Trump's bestie. He might not be so open to this sanctuary city stuff anymore. He might not be open to it. So what's happening? Some people are leaving on their own. They're deciding, you know what, I'm out. I'm going to head back home. I'm going to get out of here. It's not worth it. It's not worth the gamble. It's not worth the gamble. I'm seeing that happening already. So let me go to the part that scared me. And that was the idea of mass deporting 20 million people. Now, I know some of you are happy. Good, get rid of them all. I am not happy about that. And let me explain before you yell at me. The idea of trying to get 20 million people out of this country, to me, is scary because there's such odds that things will go wrong, that things will go bad, that things will go violent, the wrong people will be targeted, that it'll just be bad in general. That has always been my worry. I've been saying that forever. But recently, I'm not as upset because recently the word has been, that's what I'll say. We'll see if it's true. I hope it's true. That it's not going to be 20 million people tomorrow, which was my worry. That it's going to be 600,000 initially. People who are known to have had issues with the law and such. In fact, some people who are currently in jails or prisons and taking them out and throwing them out right away. All right. Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Not as scared as I was. The odds of that going wrong are a whole lot less than 20 million in a day. Now, I'm exaggerating with 20 million a day, but you know what I'm saying, right? The odds are a whole lot lower that things will go horribly wrong if you're doing that first. And then the second piece, which is my whole chat today, is I feel like doing that, a lot of people who are already bad guys are going to just leave. A lot will. Some won't. Some are going to be, belligerent. I'm going to stay. I'm a gangbanger, whatever. Of course. But then when those are caught, they're gone. So I feel like this might not be as bad. I guess I'm pulling back a little bit. Because I was scared. I could imagine 20 million people, this being a disaster. But if we're talking 600,000, and already before Trump's even president, we're seeing it pull back. I'm not as concerned. I'm still skeptical. I am. But I was also skeptical about RFK Jr. getting a big post. I was kind of iffy. And he got it. Or I'm sorry, in the process of getting it. So I'm pleasantly surprised there. And maybe I will be pleasantly surprised here. There is still a libertarian streak in me that gets worried about this. Of course, house to house, that kind of thing. But maybe it won't be so bad. Maybe the people who see this happening, who are some of the bad guys, will say, you know what, let me get out of here. But there's a second piece, I hope. And this, I hope will happen, which is the people who aren't the bad guys will try to find real ways of staying through family and friends. And that has been a talk for people doing that. And if that happens, if these two things happen, that the people who aren't the bad guys start looking for actual ways to be here legally, and then the people who are bad guys start getting scared because all the other bad guys are getting thrown out, they start leaving, this could work. Now, maybe I'm being too hopeful, maybe, but I have to realize this is happening. So we have to make this happen the best way possible. Because
Sobering and unavoidable truth. The latest advancements in artificial intelligence have made cyber attacks easier than ever before. Cyber criminals are relentlessly targeting your business right now, seeking the tiniest opening in your defenses to drain your accounts and steal sensitive data. Your finances and your customers' trust are on the line. Call the experts at Simple Tech Innovations now at 585-999-TECH to secure your business today. Don't wait until it's too late. Make the call today. 585-999-TECH.
Dion, you see this most likable spokesperson poll?
Really? I might know somebody. Oh, we're looking forward to this today, aren't we?
Seriously, guys. We're a team. We're not competing against each other.
Ooh, who's a good spokesperson?
2 puppies?
I did not expect that from you.
Ooh, one of them's for you. Oh, ooh, who's a good spokesperson? Yes, go Team West Her. Oh.
Welcome to West Her, New York.
Hi, my name is Evan Spindleman, founder and owner of Flood Broker. Flood insurance premiums are skyrocketing, and if you have to have flood insurance coverage to secure your mortgage, you owe it to yourself to call me to see how I can save you money on your flood insurance premium. The insurance programs I use are bank accepted and will satisfy your loan requirement. Please give me a call at 585-736-4366 today to get a free no-obligation quote. That's 585-736-4366. Call today.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
oh yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Way Radio on the voice of Liberty. 585-346-3000.
Keith.
To call. And I've been talking a lot about migrants today and what I think might happen. Some of my concerns, but then maybe some of my concerns are being maybe allayed. Let me grab a call if I could. Keith, how are you, sir?
I'm hanging in there, hopefully, and I mean this, that you and yours are doing well, too. Everyone out there, in 9 days, it's Thanksgiving Day, Turkey Day,
Yes.
so hopefully everyone has a good holiday. Please remember those who may not have food on the table. Try and chip in when you can.
Very good
to
point.
the point, you talk in very nice terms. I'm going to say it this way. This is why I called in. Us conservatives try and hold ourselves to be personally accountable. To use the vernacular without sounding like I'm a BS artist, we try and be stand-up people. I think for conservatives, having those personal values, I know libertarians would ID with that. when people hear a conservative, maybe even me, they think, well, all right, you guys might be okay, but you could also be stilted. I mean, even oppressed a bit. I'm thinking of that march in Columbus, Ohio, there with those, they said, would-be Nazi types. So it's very damning for us conservatives to be equated with the hard right so far as that Nazi thing. And I, Keith, do have a German family name. Everyone should know. How's this for being funny? During World War II, my Aunt Elame said, we're not that. We're not German. We're of Swiss heritage. So that was some pressure put on German Americans to, like my Aunt Elame, to say, we're really Swiss. We're not that we're fighting against. So there's a pressure there always to fit in and not be a spy face insofar as, again, German Americans during the war. But I wanted to bring up, I'm sorry if I went long here, I wanted to bring up what conservatives may not want to talk about, and that is the M word of migration. There seems to be this great cataclysmic movement of people around the world. I don't even want to get into the warming of the earth or anything, but I would ask my fellow conservatives, even bring up the T word of tolerance, and I agree with President-elect Trump fully that there's going to have to be some drastic, pointedly kicking out of people out of the country, certainly the criminal, whether it's fully accomplished, none of us know that, but the attempt at least has to be made. Biden very foolishly let in a lot of people that should not be here. But I'm just asking, with migration as it is, and even if us conservatives are to really try and grapple with it, I kind of agree with you that, gosh darn, we want a good country, and that poor young woman who was murdered by the illegal down there in Georgia, Miss Riley, the trial of her murder is going on. We've got to do something, and it should not fall on the shoulders of the United States to absorb all of these people. But I am saying in closing, especially to my fellow conservatives, do we have it very good and swell here in the good old US of A, and people all around the world want to be American. They may not want to be actual American citizens, but they want to be American in scope and culture. And I just
let me touch these,
people...
Keith. You gave me a lot. Let me touch a couple. You gave me a lot. Number one, I'm glad you're saying what you're saying, because I think it's a realistic way of looking at it. We don't want to, and this is why I focus so much on this. I am not anti-immigrant or anti-migration at all. But to your point, we have to have a way of vetting them in some way, shape, or form. We have to have a plan. My problem isn't that we let a bunch of migrants in. My problem is we let them in with no plan. How are we going to support them? Who's going to support them? How are they going to be vetted? How do we know who they are? Where are they going? None of that was put together. Now, if you're telling me, well, Larry, we can't do that for 20 million people, then we can't let 20 million people in. If you're telling me you can find a way to handle 20 million people coming in and handle all those things, okay, if that's what we need, that's fine. But I think we all know that's impossible. That's not a thing. Can we do maybe 3 or 4 million a year? Maybe, I don't know. But whatever, we have to know who's coming in, where they're going, who's supporting them. If we've got that, imagine if there was, say, in New York City here, there's huge communities of all types of people. Guatemalan, as an example. And the Guatemalan community says, hey, we'd love to have 2,000, 10,000, whatever the number is. We'd love to have them, 100%. Well, then why can't the Guatemalan community put together a nonprofit organization, maybe a chamber of commerce, maybe a nonprofit, maybe a mutual aid fund, whatever they think appropriate, and then they can pay for it. Give us 10,000. We want them to work in our stores. We want them to work in our restaurants. We want them to work in our businesses. Love to have them. Come on in. I'm in. Let's do that. We are nowhere near that. We are nowhere near that. So I'm with you on that. The second piece, though, we have crushed our youngsters here, particularly in New York State, but across the country, into telling them that working with their hands is bad. Don't do that. So a lot of our youngsters all think they're going to go to college and get some job sitting behind a computer and make $1 bazillion typing. They all think that. And they're not. So now we need things fixed. We need jobs filled. Well, our youngsters have been brainwashed that that's a bad idea. You know who hasn't been brainwashed to think that stuff? Migrants. That's why people want them, because they'll fill these jobs. That's our fault. To your point, Keith, we as a culture have wrecked that. On top of that, we let them in. And yes, you're right. It was the Biden-Harris administration who let them in. Even Obama was throwing people out. Obama was the great deporter-in-chief. Biden and Harris would bring them all in. Who cares? Whatever. That's the problem. This country can absorb lots of migrants, lots of them, but it has to be a plan. I've been talking about having a massive privately funded Ellis Island for years. This solves our problem. Last piece I'll bring up, German ancestry. Keith, you and I both have German ancestry. And I have a very proud story. Both my uncle and my grandfather were part of the German army in the 1940s during the war. They both fought in the war on the side of the Germans. My grandfather was an officer, and he was ordered to take care of prisoners, if you know what I'm talking about. He refused. His response for that, for not just following orders, was the Russian front. That was his response. He had a chance to do what was wrong. He chose the right thing. His reward was the Russian front. That's where he was captured in a Russian prison camp for 3 years, never treated with his war wounds. He died right afterwards. He sacrificed his life. My uncle, same thing. But he died many years later, also captured, Russian prison camp, 3 years in Russian prison camp, got out of war in 1948, got out of Russia in 1948. The war ended in 45. They kept him for 3 years in the prison camp, labor camp. Came back to Germany, died several years later, again from war wounds that they never treated. Again, that's what happened. So my family decided to not just follow orders. And they sacrificed their life, their limbs, and their lives for it. So yes. And the second thing people don't know, German Americans are the largest ethnic group in America. 20% of Americans have German ancestry. In fact, years ago, there was a movement, many years ago, to make German the second language in America. In fact, during the Civil War, there were entire units in the Union Army that spoke only German. They spoke only German. So, and of course, the Pennsylvania Dutch are not Dutch. They're Pennsylvania Deutsch, which means Germans. They're Pennsylvania Germans is what they are. So yes, I'm very proud of my heritage, as you are, Keith. And not every German was one of the bad guys. And by the way, the H-man, the man with the funny mustache, he was not German. He was Austrian. Take that, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Take that. I hope I gave you a bunch of good stuff, and I hope I covered everything you mentioned, because you mentioned so much. I hope I covered it all. We have a lot to do and a lot of work to do. We can. This may not be as bad as we thought, but I do appreciate it, Keith. You talked about compassion. I have it too. I think we need it. Am I wrong? Is Keith wrong? You can tell us. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty, both WYSL, also WLEA and WCKR. Back with your calls, and I will get your chat. I see you after the break.
Soros-free talk radio.
WYSL.
Avon, Rochester. WLEA, WCKR FM, Pornell.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll have cloudy skies out there, maybe a sprinkle, temps a little milder, staying in the 40s. On your Wednesday, a mostly cloudy day, mainly dry, just an isolated shower well up into the 50s. Some steady soaking rain coming up Wednesday night. And on Thursday, windy and colder, Some of those rain showers will mix with a few snow showers, especially in the hills south of Rochester. I'm Rich Cornelia for the Voice of Liberty.
Canisteo Valley Update.
The Hornell Common Council met last night. The mayor's secretary, Amy Patrick, who was also the city hall clerk, is resigning from being the clerk and is going to stay on as a secretary. Holly Snyder was voted in by the council last night as the new clerk and registrar of vital statistics. Snyder is also now the marriage officer. And the Teamsters contract has been approved by the council as well. It's a raise for the Department of Public Works employees. It's 4% for the first year, which is this year, 3% for 2025, and 3.5% for 2026. Also, Hornell's getting a new fire engine shipped up from Florida.
The pumper is an E1. The manufacturer down there had the truck built.
That's Hornell Fire Chief Frank Brzezowski, who says the new pumper will be in Hornell by mid-December. I'm Brian O'Neill for the Voice of Liberty.
Every day can be a holiday in your new ride from Dansville Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 149 Franklin Street near 390, where they're featuring a select inventory of 2024 4XE Grand Cherokees up to 50% off. Choose from 7. Units have hail damage. And check this. Lease a 2024 Jeep Compass Limited 4x4 SUV at just $249 a month for 42 months. A 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4 SUV is only $349 a month for 42 months. A 2024 Jeep Compass SUV is just $249 a month for 42 months. A 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x4 pickup is $359 a month for 42 months. 10,000 miles per year. All lease deals require lease loyalty, $3,500 down. First payment, DMV taxes and fees due at signing. 7,500 miles per year except pickup. Other conditions may apply. See dealer for details. We welcome Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram customers in Hornell, Bath, Wellsville, and Angelica. Visit the most experienced hometown dealer, Dansville Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, where they've been for 65 years. Franklin Street, Dansville, near the airport.
Bob Savage here for Aaron Moore. As you feel those dropping temps, I invite you to do what we do here at WYSL. Slash your heating costs this season with Aaron Moore infrared zone heaters. They can save you big compared to just using your furnace. It's how we stay comfy here at Radio Ranch. Aaron Moore heats healthier. No burning of oxygen and particulates to dry out your nose and skin. You get even quiet heat that fills rooms with warmth, not dust and blower noise. Aaron Moore heaters are completely safe. No hot surfaces or heating elements to pose shock or fire hazards, plus complete safety for children and pets. For a limited time, save $30 on either size Aaron Moore, and either the Comfort Deluxe size or the Compact Comfort Buddy for smaller areas. Specify discount code WYSL in your shopping cart. Free shipping in the continental U.S., and you'll never have to replace any bulbs because of Aaron Moore copper PTC technology. Maintenance-free Aaron Moore infrared zone heaters are the way to really save on heating bills. Call 800-707-8725 or visit air-more.com.
Well, it's here, and people are excited about Sunday Night Church, a new service offering excellence in hymn-based worship and biblical teaching together right here in Rochester. Sunday Night Church is all about the hymns you love, featuring timeless favorites that focus on God's greatness, love, and holiness.
Okay, we got a caller, Mike from Rochester.
Music and solid bibiblical teaching. Worship
You're welcome.
World-class pianist Dr. Bill John Newbrough and dynamic.
Okay, I'll let him know. Thanks.
By Isaac Pendley. Each Sunday evening, enjoy an unforgettable worship service that will remind you of the finest Sunday service or thrilling campground worship program you've ever experienced, all designed to glorify Jesus Christ. Join us at the Greystone Auditorium at 20 East Church Street in Fairport Sunday nights. For more details and directions, visit our website, sundaynight.church. That's sundaynight.church. We look forward to seeing you this Sunday at 6:30 p.m. at Greystone Auditorium. Visit our website, sundaynight.church.
Are you new to town and resorting to big box stores and online shopping to revamp your home? Get big city experience and unlimited options at Decorator's Choice in Hornell. We offer the largest selection of flooring in the area with installation. From custom furniture and window treatments to Benjamin Moore paints and products, our design team will create your dream space. Shop your entire sleep system with our split head and traditional mattresses, offering bedding and pillow lines for your best night's sleep. Decorator's Choice has everything you need to revamp your space. Visit our showroom at 37 Seneca Street in Hornell and like us on Facebook.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes. Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty. So happy to be with you listening throughout Western New York and around the globe. You can give me a call if you like, 888-346-3000. That is the number. I want to deal with a quick comment. Scalzo says, if you were forced to be in charge of deportations, how would you do it? I fear officers will shred decency to bits by raiding peaceful homes and forcing people to show their papers on the streets. Brother, that was my exact worry. That was my worry. I was concerned we would become into, where are your papers? I thought we would become that, and that still is a little bit of my fear. But recently, what I've heard, again, it's not 20 million in a year. It's not that. It's 600,000 of the people that we already know are the bad guys, or at least have at least touched law enforcement in some way, shape, or form. So many of them are actually already in jail or in some kind of holding facility. Okay, I feel better about it, but I am concerned. And as long as we're diligent, as long as we are vigilant, I don't want it to become that at all. It is a valid concern, one I am worried about. I don't want us to be that, cops are kicking in doors, right? Trying to pull people out and grabbing 17 people when they only want one guy, and then gets violent. And then you know what happens then. And then that's a problem. And one of the reasons is if that actually happens, it all could stop. And then everything fails. And then no one do anything anymore because it'll be such a bad look on America. This has got to be done well. So far, it sounds good. I hope I'm right. I'm going to grab a call if I could. Mike, how are you, sir?
Hey, pretty good. Hey, I'd like to expand on this. First of all, the kumbaya with all these invaders coming in. The law has to be enforced. First of all, the 1965 Immigration Act needs to be repealed right off the bat. We need to secure our border and get the criminals out first. Yes. No chain migration, okay? No anchor babies. If you have a baby here with an American citizen or whatever, guess what? If you guys have to go back, you take your kid with you. Okay? Then from there,
why no chain migration?
No chain migration as far as, well, I brought you in, you're bringing this person in. If we could determine that each person is brought in legally, okay, and they're going to be a good citizen. If they're allowed to stay, they're allowed to stay as a guest here, not a citizen. Citizenship.
Well, hold on. Hold on. To be clear, the part that I'm a little bit worried about is why no chain migration? In a case of, unless I misunderstand chain migration doesn't give you citizenship. It allows you to come in if you're supported by family. That to me seems fine. Am I wrong on this?
Well, chain migration is you already got here and you're established here. You can't start bringing in family outside of the country in. I guess that'd be more of a clarification.
And what I'm saying is, you're here already. Why would that be a bad thing, Mike? If I'm here legally, right? I got here legally, and I'm here legally, and I say, hey, I have family over in country so and so. I want them to come, but I'm taking responsibility. They're my family. I'll take care of them. Let them come in, and they'll come in legally, but they're not citizens, but they can get green cards because they're my family. Why is that part wrong?
Well, if you came in illegally, then we shouldn't give the amnesty to you in the first place.
Oh, yes. Okay. You're saying no chain from illegal migration. Okay. I get it.
Correct. Yes. No chain from illegals. No amnesty. Okay. Also, too, no citizenship for 20 years.
Okay. Why 20 years?
That's because we could stagger out the voting and figure out. Also, too, if you were here, you're determined to whatever the refugee status, or you came in, you're here to work, you're not a criminal. Okay, we'll keep an eye on you. You get a violation of any sort. You get charged with a crime or convicted of a crime. Okay, that's it. You're out the door. It's a one-shot deal. There's no, okay, I got a DWI. Well, you get a DWI, you're convicted of the DWI, you're out the door. Okay?
Man, you are hardcore, Mike. Why are you so hard?
Well,
20
let's-
years, and you
let's
don't, and you
look at-
don't,
let's look
you
at
don't
all
even
the-
get one
let's
shot
look-
to mess up.
Yeah, yeah. And you know
Wow,
what?
okay.
Because look at all the DWIs that we've had in New York State of illegals that get behind the wheel. Okay, no license, they
you're
get
not
behind
wrong.
the wheel 5-10 times. And where are they? They're still here. So yeah,
You're not wrong. I just feel like one. Wow, you're not playing games.
well, this is serious. You listen,
Okay.
if you came in, if you come in here as a criminal, you invaded our borders, okay? Whatever your reason is, you came, okay, there's no war going on in South America or Central America, or people that crossed over from Africa or anywhere else in this world that showed up at our doorsteps to flood this place. Okay, you're here now. We're going to dwindle you down, okay? As far as we're going to make sure we get the good people.
All right,
Okay.
so let me touch a couple pieces here if I could. I get what you're saying, and I feel your anger. But I don't want us to go the opposite way. In other words, I don't want to make it to where now people don't want to come here, right? We have a situation now. If we make it to where it's so hard for people to come here, only the people who will come here will all be illegal and undocumented. We want to make sure that it is easier to get here legally, and again, clearly vetted. I'm with you on that. My worry, though, is that we get to a point to where people go, oh, why bother? And then we have a situation like Germany does. Germany has a serious migration problem. It's almost only people who are undocumented because nobody else wants to come there. They can't even get people like high-skilled labor people to go there. They can't get people to go to Germany. It's a problem. I don't want America to be that. So I get what you're saying. I just don't want the pendulum to swing the opposite way to where we break the ties to our migrants. You know, what made me worried is when you mentioned chain migration. And Mike Voss is in the chat, and he says chain migration is legal and not really an issue. I agree. I've seen nothing wrong with chain migration, but to your point, as long as they're here legally, they're documented now, you're going to support your family coming over, bring them. No worries. You're your family. You're agreeing to support them. No worries at all. I think that's the difference. And I think Mike goes on to say, the left has melted all immigration into one thing. And I think that's your issue, Mike, is that people are saying all migrants are the same, and you're making a big distinction. Did I get that right?
Right, I am making a distinction. Okay. Get rid of the criminals first, and then we'll figure out who else is going to stay afterwards. But they cannot be rewarded.
Another call on hold.
And breaking our laws. There has to be a penalty.
I appreciate it, Mike. I do. Thanks for the call, brother. All right, let me grab one more call if I could.
Lorraine.
How are you? Lorraine, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? I walked in on your conversation and I wanted to add a sentence or two. I think that it's a little bit heavy-handed if they have a traffic infraction, like a misdemeanor or something, and also Trump was convicted of a felony, but it's going to be reversed. What if they sent the person back in such a case before they could even have time to reverse it?
I agree with you. I think, look, I get where Mike's coming from. I think he's too harsh. I think people can make a mistake all the time. Look, maybe I'm biased because my mother was also a felon. My mother was an addict, and she was a felon too. And she turned her life around completely. She was totally clean by the time she died. I'm with you, Lorraine.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think people can make a mistake. Even if you're an immigrant, you can make a mistake. People can do it. I think people, and not just that, what if the government's wrong? Lorraine's right. What if the government's wrong? And they convicted you when they shouldn't have. Happens all the time. Again, I'm not mad at Mike. I get where he's coming from. The situation's bad. People are concerned. They're worried. I just don't want to go too far. I'm a big fan of chain migration. I think it's a wonderful thing. And you can make a mistake. Lorraine, thank you for that call. I appreciate it. So, yeah, I don't want to go too far. That is my worry. I'm going to grab some comments if I could. John is in the chat. He says, New York City's trying their hardest to offload more migrants to places upstate. Selena Town Supervisor just blocked that motion from Eric Adams. Of course. They're trying to grab as many as they can, right, before they get booted. I think that's right. Andrea says, I think there'll be a lot of self-deporters. Andrea, that's my hope. I don't want, and this is what Keith was talking about. I don't want us to become something terrible. Let's hope this issue begins to correct itself. That is my biggest hope. And then we start finding out ways to make people legal in a way that makes sense, that doesn't affect others, doesn't hurt, and most importantly, that we don't have to pay for. There are tons of companies who want these people. Good, let them pay. If they were to recruit them, Andrea, from a recruiting company, they pay the recruiters. Okay, pay the government to vet them. What's it cost to do a background check? $500, maybe, probably less than that. They pay a recruiter 10 times that. 10 times that. Pay the government. We want these 4 people. Awesome. Do a background check on all 4 of them, vet all of them, put them through the system so that they can get their cards, and you pay for it. Okay, I'm not mad at that. Some of them fail, out they go. Out they go. You create that system, people will voluntarily get vetted, and companies will pay for it because they want the workers. They do it already. There is a way of making this happen. I hope these begin to start. And then there'll be self-deporters and also self-reporters. So self-deporters and self-reporters, and this problem gets solved over time. That's my hope. Am I nuts? Is Lorraine too compassionate like me? Maybe Mike's right. One shot, you're gone. One strike, you're out. Maybe that's the way it should be. You can let me know. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe on Sharpe Way Radio, on the voice of Liberty Network here in Western New York and around the world. I'll be back with your calls and more of your chat after the break.
Introducing a sobering and unavoidable truth. The latest advancements in artificial intelligence have made cyber attacks easier than ever before. Cyber criminals are relentlessly targeting your business right now, seeking the tiniest opening in your defenses to drain your accounts and steal sensitive data. Your finances and your customers' trust are on the line. Call the experts at Simple Tech Innovations now at 585-999-TECH to secure your business today. Don't wait until it's too late. Make the call today. 585-999-TECH.
I'm Greece Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Joe Robach. If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber. We are the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we are better together, and together we can move your business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-27.
Okay, we got Roger from Nassau.
Join today. You'll be glad you did.
You're welcome.
Avon Gun and Hunting Supply, a locally owned and operated gun shop here for your hunting needs. With changes in New York State laws, they'll work with you to fulfill your needs. Open from 10 a.m. Tuesday through Saturday, Avon Gun, East Main Street, next to Tompkins Community Bank.
Hey, this is Stryker that calls into WYSL's PCP Boys. I'd love to have you come listen to my podcast, Just an Old Guy with a Mic.
Okay.
If you like the content of WYSL, I think you'll like my podcast, Just an Old Guy with a Mic, on Podbean, Spotify, and Amazon podcast apps.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes. Larry Sharpe is here. Sharpe Way Radio on the Voice of Liberty here in Western New York. So happy to have you guys with me. I want to grab a couple of comments if I could. Peace Logic says, I remember Trump talking on the All In podcast and tell them that he'd make it so that people going to college here that are immigrants would automatically get a green card. That's good. I'm not sure if that is the right answer, to be forward with you, Peace, but the concept is good. That's what I'll say. Some of our policies have been so bad that people would come here, get a college degree, want to get a job here, but can't. Either there aren't enough quotas for the appropriate visas, or the paperwork's not good enough, or they have to go back home first anyway. So yeah, if you had a way, I keep falling back to the same thing. If these companies want these people so much, then make a way for them to pay for it. And many of them would, and you see it. If these are the smart kids in college who these guys want, okay, great. Then why are taxpayers paying for it? Make it legal, make them pay for it. If it costs $10,000, whatever, I don't care. They'll pay, right? You got some smart kid out of MIT who's going to be some tech guru and you want him, great. Have the government vet him. $5,000. The government, you pay for it. The government pays nothing. Taxpayers pay nothing. Maybe don't get a green card. Maybe they get a special work visa. I'm okay with that. So I think these things can happen. The problem is we're having the government do it and pay for it when we should be. These companies want these people. Great, I got it. Then pay for it. That's all I'm saying. If the government wants it, let the government pay for it. Lorenzo says, my thing is, if Trump can use the military on illegals, what's to stop him from using it on certain Americans who despise it? Also a fear. I'm with you. And what I heard so far is the military was not going to be part of this. And I hope that's true. I do not want American military facing off against Americans. That's not going to go well. I don't want that to happen. That never ends well. It's always terrible PR. It's terrible everything. Lorenzo, you are correct. Let's hope it doesn't happen. Let's hope that what we're talking about earlier, that as things begin to change, like Andrea and I were talking about, as things change, people begin to self-report and self-deport, and there's no need for that. That is my hope. Thank you for that, Lorenzo. Let me grab a call if I could. I have Roger from Nassau. How are you, sir?
Larry, I had 5 things to say, but what you just said knocked it down to 4. So, boom, I'm going to take the military thing off the table. But we got to stop invading these other countries for their natural resources to steal them and doing the coups and stuff like that. So this way we don't create a living hell in their home, and then they feel like they got to come here after Biden says, surge the border. If you remember that part when he was debating Bernie. 2.
And also, I'll add to that, our stupid drug war. Add that too.
Yeah. 2, as for those who are coming here for work, I say enforce electronic verify, because that would have a much broader effect on helping American workers. For instance, we always talk about migration from the South, but no one talks about migration from the East in regards to Asians and Indians who come here to work in white-collar jobs, mostly information technology, which I used to work in. You'd be hard-pressed to find any Black people in there, especially American freedmen Black people.
True.
3, you will often hear Democrats, and I remember Obama saying this, that immigration benefits the country, but I have to ask the question, when has it ever been a net positive for the American freedmen community? Black people whose lineage goes back to slavery, immigration has always been a net negative for us, regardless of what country they came from and the race of the immigrant as well. 4.
Agreed.
Now, Michael talked about repealing the 1965 Naturalization and Immigration Act. That was put in place because that was lifting the ban on non-European countries that was put in place with the 1920 Immigration Act that only allowed Europeans, aka white folks, to come here, and it passed to keep the country majority white. This was a bunch of open races in Congress. Remember, it was the 1920s. So if we're going to repeal the 1965 law, then we got to repeal the 1920 law as well. 5, last one.
I like that.
I'm skeptical of your privately funded immigration program because I see big corporations privately funding that to help facilitate bringing in a cheaper labor force so that they can undercut American workers' leverage in the workplace. And
I think all of those things are correct. Let me grab all of them. The last one first. They're already doing it, my friend, right? You're correct. Of course they will. You're right. That's why immigrants have been, with the exception of a small chunk of American history, like right after World War II, immigrants have always been the cheap labor force that America has survived on from the 1700s until today, again, with a small chunk after World War II when all the soldiers came back, right? After that, right back to it all over again. I think you're correct. And I'm saying they're going to do it anyway. I know you don't like it. I see no other option. They're going to, but then do it legally, do it in a way where they pay taxes, do it in an open way that we all see it. At least do it that way if you're going to do it. And I think they're going to do it. That's why do we have all these immigrants if nobody wants them? No. Big business wants them. You are correct. My issue is do it up front, let everybody see it, and we can handle it. I also agree with you on the 1965, 1920s, 100%. Yes. My point is let anybody in who can be vetted and can be supported. That's the issue. If you can be vetted and supported, you can come in. Now, to be forward with you, my friend, if these people come in legally and we allow them to unionize, well, then they can just join unions, as so can anybody. Let them unionize if they want to. If they're legal, they can. If they're illegal, they can't. And that's the point. You want to keep the labor market high, allow them all to unionize too. As long as they're here legally, let them do what they need to do. I have a problem with that. I think we can do that, again, if it's upfront and we see it. Right now, they're all in the shade. They're all in the dark. And I think that's what hurts them also. The idea of us invading countries in drug war, yes, 100%. I agree completely. I love the things you were talking about in that regard. I appreciate it. I really do. Did I miss anything, Roger?
He's gone. We're out of time.
Oh, we lost him. Okay, yes. I hope I covered all of your pieces. I do think it's a big issue. Guys, I'm not against migrants. I'm not against legally enforcing the law. I just want to make sure that we do it in the right way. I want to make sure that we make it as fair as we possibly can and understand that some of this is our fault, but it can be repaired, and it should be. Thank you for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will see you all very soon.